array in VBA. So array in Excel VBA. Now we're going to use this. I'm going to explain various things concerning how to use arrays in VBA, how to use it specifically for calculations. Now what we're going to do in essence is now we're going to go into Visual Basic environment. There are various ways to go into the Visual Basic environment. One is you go to File, Option, you click the Customize ribbon, you check this Developer tab. If you don't have the Developer tab on your Excel sheet, Excel main tab, maybe it's unchecked here, you check it here and click OK. It will come here. So you click the Developer tab and go to the Visual Basic button. Another way to also go there is to click, there is a shortcut, like when you hover the cursor around the Visual Basic button, you see the shortcut Auto plus F11. So now if you click this shortcut Auto plus F11, it will navigate you to the Visual Basic environment. Now another way to also bring up this developer is to right click here, select the customize the ribbon. Now you check the Developer tab here and click OK. That is the way to bring it in. So now, having done that, let's now go into the Visual Basic environment. This is our Visual Basic environment. You make sure now when you look at the title bar, you have the molecular weight. Now you select this, the Visual Basic project molecular weight. You don't need to select these other ones. You select this, you can right click here and insert module, or you come here, select this tab here and select your module here, select insert tab and select your module in the main menu. So that is that. Now we can now create the sub. We say sub. If you make sure you don't use a name that is in the system, like if you say property, if you use property for subroutines, it will not work. Like let me just say property, enter. Now let me just say game. I want to use property here too. Okay, let me call it gas property. We call it gas property. So this gas, there should be a space. There shouldn't be any space. Now this, let me call it gas property as double. Now this gas property is an array. This gas property is an array. Now I'm not supposed to say as double, since it's an array, even if it's a double, you should use, we are supposed to use variant, even if the content of what you want to assign this variable, this array variables to, is double, you must call it variant. You must. If you do that, if you will not call it that, it will be a mismatch. It will show you a mismatch. Now let's check it out. Let's now say property. Let me just make let me make this capital letter. Make the property, the P capital letter 2. Now I will just say gas property. Now let me press control space bar is equal to sheets data dot range. Let me say quotation mark A3 comma range quotation mark A3 dot end. Press the tab key. Excel down. Press the tab key. Dot end. Press the tab key. Excel to right. Press the tab key. Close the brackets. Now it will not work because the variable type for this array is double, and this property here will not work unless I change the name. But let's go step through it using F8. You see, now the thing say expected get let set. So now you know why? Because if you put in property, let's say maybe I wanted to do, okay, let me show you something. So for property, if you cannot use any name like property, if you want to use property, you have to put in get property, let properties, and all that. It will not be sub property. So but now it's the property here I put here just name. I don't want to it's just a name of the subroutine. So now let me use my name. You see, it will work. Let me use my name. Now if I use my name, step through it, it will work. See, it works now. Now this one will not work because it's double. See, it tells you okay, worksheet. The reason why this did not work is because now this is the essence of adding. With this case, this is the essence of adding sheet activate. Now it shows that the active cell is not on sheet data. But now let me go back. You see, the active cell is on input. That is why it did not work. Now look at the data. Now if I put it here, you see it will work now. Let me just close this. Let's step through now. Now it worked, but the mismatch, which is this issue. This is the issue. Double. It's supposed to be variant. So for an array, we should know that for an array, you should use for an array variables. We should use variant type. That is the variable type should be variant. If you use double, it will not work. Even if the content, even if the data is double, you should not use double. So now let me change it to variant. Now let's step through again using F8. See, it works now. It works perfectly. Look at them. Now, but if I move to, you see, I'm in data sheet. If I move to this other sheet, it will not work. See, to tell you worksheets failure. So now, to correct this, what I will do to correct it, I will just say sheets data dot activate. Press the tab key. Now it will work. What will happen is that since I've said sheet data activate, so now if I am stepping through, let me say stepping through now, let me close this. Now if I'm stepping through, now you know that the active cell is not on sheet data now, but if I step through, as I step through this line of code, it will not, the active cell will not be on sheet data. So this will work now. The active cell will not go to sheet data on its own, instead of me now going to open it. So it is better to put all those things so that the program itself will do it on its own instead of doing it manually. Just like what I did the other time. I opened and went to that place and do it manually, which is wrong. But it's better the code, it's better the program does it itself. That will be better. Now let's close this. Now I've collected value from here. I also need to collect information from another sheet, which is the input sheet. So that means I need to make the input sheet activated. I need to activate the input sheet dot activate. Press the tab key. Now I need to call that more equal to sheet dot input dot sheet input, not sheet input dot range. Quotation mark, bracket close. That should be B3. Comma range. B3 dot end. Where's the tab key? Excel done. Where's the tab key? Close the bracket, enter. Now with this, when it steps through here, you know that the Excel sheet is okay, is on this, is on data now. Now let's say it's here, is on input. If I step through, it will go to the data. From data, it will come back to input using with this sheet input dot activate. Now, okay, I've not defined mole. Now let me define mole. I will define mole by saying comma mole, because this mole is also a variable. it's an array. It's an array variable, because an array contains more than one data, more than one information in it. Now let's step through using F8. You see, we have created the, so this is what is in the input. Now look at it. That is the data. This one is 0. This one is 0.7666. Look at, check it now. 0.766. So this is 90.05. Let's look at this. This is 90.05. So that is it. Now we can use it to make some calculations. Let's say we want to calculate. Let me go to want to calculate the mass of each component. Let's say the mass of each component. So the mass of each component will be molecular weight of the component times the mole. Times the mole of the component. So, and we can also calculate the sum of the mass, which we can also calculate. Let's say the total mass. We can calculate the total mass, which is the sum of all the mass of the component. Now we can also calculate the mass percent of each component, which is the same thing as the mass of each component divided by the sum of the masses. Now, but before we do this, now this is what we're going to do. Now, before we do this, we also need to check what if the mole, because what we're using here is mole. We are supposed to use mole percent. We're supposed to use mole percent of each of the components. What if the mole is not expressed? The mole percent is not expressing. The mole is not expressing percentage, or is not expressed. Yeah, it's not expressing percentage. So what for us to do that, to get the mole percent, that means we need to now say the mole. We need to calculate the mole percent for each of the components, which will now be the mole of each component all over the sum of the mole, or that is the total mole. So we needed to calculate this first, so that we know what we're doing. So now we need to calculate the total mole. The total mole, which is the summation of mole the summation of moles. So with this we have some variables. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 variables, and we're going to add to this. So now let's go back to this Visual Basic environment. Now we have gotten our moles. We have gotten the values of our moles, the gas properties. We've gotten that. So now what we're going to do now, we're going to use this data to calculate the molecular weight of the gas mixture. Now, there are so many components there. Look at it. Let's open it back. Let's go back to the data. Now, you have more than one component that makes up a natural gas. Now, and these components, we needed to, there is a rules of combination, combining these components based with respect to with respect to properties. Now, let's say we want to calculate the molecular weight. There are ways to do that and get the molecular weight of that particular material. Now, of that particular mixture of gases, and this one is a natural gas. Now let's go in and do the calculations. So what we're going to do now, we're going to first calculate the sum the mole, calculate the total sum of the mole. Now the total sum of the mole, I would use an inbuilt function inside to do that. So I will now say total mole equal to say worksheet function dot sum, raise the tab key, bracket open, I will just call it mole, bracket close. Now we have calculated the total, but now I need to define total mole. Now I will now say dim total mole. Let me be sure I make the now I'll call this double. This should be double. Now let's step through to see the value it gives us. Let's step through. Okay. Now we have the total mole to be 100. So we've gotten that. So that means that the total mole is in percentage. But what in a case where it is not in percentage? Now we need to bring it back to percentage. We need to bring it back. But let me go back and let me go back and let's say I make this 91. So now let's run through again. So you see, it will now be 101. So the meaning is that, because in some cases someone can just put in value that is not, it's supposed to be percentage, but it's not in percentage. So I haven't calculated it that it's not in 100%. It's in percentage, but it's not in 100%. It's 101% as the total. So now we're going to kind of what we call normality. We're going to normalize it so that it will come back to 100%. So the value will now come to 100%. To do that, I will now define let me now define another variable. That is a single variable. This is not an array. A single variable. Let me call the single variable as long. Press the tab key. Now I needed to get a row count. I need to get a row count. So my row count should be, let me just put 1. Now copy this. Just replace the 1 with it. Then I'll just say dot. No. I will not use this. Let me just remove this. So I'll just say cells, press the tab key, dot count, press the tab key. So now let's check. This is supposed to be 24. Supposed to be 24, the row count. Let's check, let's step through. Okay, let me create a breakpoint here and use F5 to step through. Oh, I've not defined this row count. So okay. The row count is long, so I'll put it here. Row count. Now let's step through using F5. So the row count is 24, correct? The total mole is 101. Now I needed to add I will now say I can now say mole I, 1 is equal to mole I, 1 divide by total mole. Now, but for me to do this, I needed to add a for next loop. So now for I equal to 1 to row counts. Now I will now say next I. Now I've changed this whole thing. Now changing it, I've changed that. Done now. I now needed to calculate this again, because paste it here. Now let's step through again. Now we have 1. Okay, I did not multiply by 100. Now let's step through again. Now you see, is that 100? is 900. Now let's look at the place I increased to 90. See, it's not changed to 90.14. Although the changes will not be here. This one now changed to 90.14. The changes will not, unless I now replace it there. So with this, you see the total now has changed to 100 here. The total is 100 now. Now that means the percentage is correct now. So what I'll do next is to use it to calculate our mass. Now what I'll do is to copy this, just paste it here. Let me end this. So I will change this to mass. We'll just change the whole of this. Let me just put 1 so that it will not show error. Let me now come here. I needed to create this variable mass. So, and it's an array. So what I'll just say dim. So this is dynamic. It should be a dynamic array. So mass, okay. This is double. So this is a dynamic array. Now, having created this, I need to come here. You need to come here and then you need to come here and then do what? Redimension it. Redimension it. I will just say 1 to row count. I'll press Control spacebar to complete, comma 1 to 1. So this is a single, it's like this is a kind of 1 column vector. Now, having done that, but if I don't want to be writing this whole thing, is this 1 to this and 1 to that. The reason why I'm specifying the lower and the upper bound is because by default, Visual Basic environment, Visual Basic coding has that is a base of 0. The base is 0. So now, if I don't want to be putting 1 to row count and all that, I can specify options of change the default value of 0 to 1 by using option base 1. So that if I do that, I can now remove the 1 to in that redimension mass. So because okay, now let me just do that. I will just say option. Okay, let me remove it so that it will not look like. Let me remove it. Now this should be molar mass times mole. So let's go back. The mole is okay. We know the mole. The molar mass in this case is you have 1, 2, 3. So is the second one. Now let's now put it. Now we'll just say more, which is the more percent. From we have changed that more to more percent. More I, comma 1 times gas property. You can press the control space so it will complete it for me. So now say I, comma 2, I, comma 2, because it's on, this is 1 2 3, so it's on 2. The molecular weight is on 2, so we have that. So now let's step through using F5. Now when you look at it, we have gotten the mass. You see the mass starts from 1 1 1. Doesn't have two values, 1 1 1 1. See that? Now I will still get the same thing. I can still get the same thing for that mass if I now use, and if I remove this. Let me see if I remove this. If I didn't put this, that means it will start from 0. So it will start from 0. It will start from 0, then, and it will not give me the complete components that are there. It will start from 0. Now it will just start from here, 0. Here will be 0 now to here, to this C9. To not give me this. Now let's step through using F5. So now see, it will give you two values. Look at it. You start from 0 now. You see, it started from 0. This one will be empty. Now it will end at this. It ends at 23. So it starts from 0. So that is why I put the upper and lower limit here. That was why I put the upper and lower. If you didn't put the upper and lower limits, it will start from 0. But if I don't want it to start from 0 and I don't want to put this upper and lower limits here, I can just come here, just say option base 1. Now let me run it again by pressing F5. You see, when you open the mass now, it will start from 1. It starts from 1. It starts from 1. It doesn't start from 0 again. And even if this option base 1 is here, if you want this thing to also start from 0, I can just put in 0 2 and come here, put in 0 2. Now if I run it, they will start from 0 despite you have option base 1 here. Let's run it and see. Let me press F. See, it will start from 0 to, you see, it starts from 0 and it has two values, because here you have 0 and 1. That is, you have two columns, which is this and this. For each of them, they will have two values. What Let me remove it. But this option base 1, you can only change it to this option base 1. You can only change it to option base 1 or option base 2. Or option base 1 or option base 0. It's only the only value you can put here is 0 and 1. Anything other than that, it will not work. Now let's say I put 2 there. It will not. They see the thing did not work. You say what you are expected to put there is 0 or 1. See that? So let's change it to 1. So you're not expected to put any other value other than 0 and 0 or 1. Now we have calculated the mass, but in this process we can also calculate inside this loop. We can also calculate the total mass. Now let me add the total mass here. Okay, let me add it here, comma, total mass. Add it there. I'll just say total mass will now be equal to we copy total mass plus mass bracket open I, 1. Now we have gotten the total mass from here. Now having gotten the total mass, we can now calculate the molecular weight of the mixture, the gas mixture. So now, how can we do that? Now let me come up here and add molecular underscore weight. Molecular weight, you just see underscore. Let me call it gas molecular weight. Yes, gas. That is a gas mixture. Gas molecular weight. Now let me just copy it. Yeah, let's say weight. Let me gas molecular weight. The gas molecular weight, sorry, will now be equal to the total mass divided by the total mole. Now let's run through this. Now when you look at it, the total gas molecular weight is 19.10, while the total mass is 1910, and this is the total mole 100. So now we have gotten the molecular weight of the gas. We have gotten the molecular weight of the gas. Now let's say we want to calculate the density of the gas. Let's say we want to calculate the density of the gas. What we're going to do is, that means we needed to add volume here. Now let me add volume here, comma, volume So this volume is an array. Is an array. I will redefine the volume here. We'll say redefine volume. Redimension volume, not redefine. Redimension the volume as we use row count, comma 1. Now see, it's faster because I have used option base 1. So I can now add my volume here. I will just say volume. I needed to calculate the mass percent. So the mass percent is what I will use for the volume. The mass percent is what I will use for the volume. So now let me copy this, paste. Let me close this. Close the local window. So now, having copied this, can now come here. I needed to add mass percent. To add mass. Should I call it mass? Let me still call it down. Let me not create so many. Let me not create so many variables here. Let me still use the mole percent. That means I'll calculate the total mole again. Okay, let me calculate the mole percent. Sorry, the mass percent. I can use this as the mass percent again. Let me just copy this, paste it here, divide by the total. My total mass. Total mass. Delete this. Now with this, I have gotten each of the mass percent. So I've gotten each of the mass percent. Now it's better I use mass percent. So that okay. Let me create mass percent. I need to create mass percent. I don't need to use this way. Let me just call this mass percent. Mass percent. I'll come here, copy, replace this, just call it mass percent. So rate dimension mass percent. Now so I'll need it to call it mass percent here, mass percent. Now, meaning running through this, you have the mass percent, and the mass percent is used to calculate my volume. It's used to calculate my volume for each of the components, which will now be equal to, let me just put 1 here, copy this mass percent, put it here, divide by gas property, press Control spacebar, bracket open, I, 3. So now the density divided by the density is this, which is the third column. So we're good to go. Now, having gotten this, I needed to calculate the total volume. Let me just put 1. Let me copy this. Okay, let me copy this, replace 1 with it, then plus, let me just add 1 again, plus this. Paste. Now let me copy this and create and define the variable. Let me add it here, comma, Ctrl V, paste. Now we have created the total volume. So we have calculated the total volume. So the total volume. So I will calculate the total volume. Now let me calculate the, we'll call the total so I need to calculate the total mass. I will calculate the total volume. I could say the gas density should be equal to the total mass divided by the total volume. The total mass divided by the total volume. Now I have gotten the total volume, I have the total mass. Now I've not defined this, so I need to define it. Just say comma, Ctrl V. Now what again I've not defined? Have I defined this total volume? Yes, I've done that. Okay, let's go through. Let's go through. The debug will tell us whether we have or not. So let me press F5. Now let's view the local window. Now the local window, we have our gas density to be 637. No, that is not correct. The total volume is 290. Okay, 2.9. No, so now let's go back to this. Let's look at using. Now we have this let me say, if I total the total percent, did I add total percent? No. Total mass percent will be 100. So the gas density is 637 points. Now let me go to this. Now if we're using ideal gas equation, okay, let me just add this to it. Now we know that the mole is same thing as mass all over the molecular weight. Now we have P times volume of the gas. Now we're looking for density. So if we rearrange this equation, we have this times this divided by Z RT, which is equal to M all over V, and M all over V is the density of the gas. Now we know the molecular weights. We know the molecular weights. We know of the gas, but we don't know this. We don't know this. We don't know this. Okay, we know this. We don't know this. We don't know temperature. Well, we don't want to use. We want to go straight to using the total volume and all that. So now let me go back to that. Now since we have gotten this, it means that converting it in kilogram per mole, we need to divide by 1000. No, so converting to now let's close this. Let me pause it and So the density divide by 1000. So now let's look at the local window. What do we have here? We have the density to be 0.637. The total volume is 2.9. We have the gas molecular weight to be 19.10. So now we are completely done with what we want to do here. Now we needed to copy this, the result, what we got, into the reports, into the report sheet. This one, we need to copy it into the report sheet. So what we're going to do to copy that into the report sheet, we're going to say, now we are going to activate that report sheet. The report sheet, the name here is sheets reports dot activate, so that so I will now activate that. So now what we're going to do next is what we're going to do next, but before we do this, I needed to create a variable here in here because I needed to carry. Let me go back. Let me close this. Let me stop at debugging. Now in the data space, I needed to copy from here down. Now I'll call it a name. What will I call it now? Let me call it prop. So I need to copy this. I'll call it prop. Now, so here, since this is activated, I'll be in the data sheet. So now calling it prop, and it's a variant, so I should define it here. I should call it, let me call it prompt. So that is the name I'll give it. Then I come here, define it as prompt equal to, let me just copy this. Okay, let me copy this, copy, paste. Now I need to edit it. We are starting from A1. Yes, column 1, column A, row 1. So we're starting at A1. So I need to change this to A1. This to A1. Now down, then I will now add an offset. I'll say offset. Now I needed to copy two values. Two values. So it should be row okay, the row count, okay, this should be below this. So copy, let me cut this off, bring it down here where I have the row count. because I've gotten row count here, so I needed to say the row count. So row count. Now I've said option base 1, so it's starting from 1, so there's no need to add to the -1 from it. Then this should be 2. Now let's go through and see what it gives us. Press F9. Let me see the prompt. Let's go to visual, local video, look at this. Where is it? Prompt. Okay. Let's see what it gives us. It gives us, okay, to density 1, 2, 3. It gives us up to 3. Up to 3 gives us density. So, well, we don't need up to density. Let me see whether that is, let me just leave it at 2. I didn't edit this properly. I needed to take off this. Should be this way. Should be this way. So let me see. The prompt is just taking 1. Okay, no. It was correct the other time. It was correct. Because from here to no. Let me see. You're checking from here. From here as 1, 2, 3. You have set from here 1, 2. Okay, you have set from here. This is 1. Now you have 1, 2. So you add all of them. So I will have set only 1. So 1. Now let's do that again. Let's do that again. Have 2, okay? So this is what I want. Just 2. So this is just now I've gotten that. I needed to copy another thing again. I'll call it mode. Let me call it mode. So I'll come to this again. Call it mode. Let me close this. I needed to copy it from which let me save. Let me where is sheets? This is sheet data activate. Okay, let me just space it so that it will be visible. So I'm looking for it just the way I'm doing down. Okay, look out the one I'm looking for. So sheet inputs activate. So I needed to add mold here. Okay, I have the mold. Okay, no, the mold should include every other thing. So I need to come here, add this, copy, paste. Now it should start from B1. This is B1. So let's check inputs from B1 from here to down. Now, okay, I haven't defined it there. Now, so I have this. Let's look at it again. Let me go to the visual, the local window. Let me scroll down. I have more gas, more percent, and all that. So we have that. So now we're going to go into sheet report dot activate. So now we're in sheet report in that point where my cursor is. So now I needed to write this thing into, now we'll say for I equal to 1 to row count. We'll say next I no, what I will do next is to now say dot sheet report dot range. This is comma, supposed to be dot range. Where's the tab key? A1 comma range. Where's the quotation mark? A1. Dot offset. I comma J dot value equal to prop I comma J. For j equal to 1 to row count. Next j. Let me define j here. Put j here. Comma. So offsets 1 1. Okay. Let me scale through using F5 out of range. Let me see 0 0 minus 1 minus 1 2 plus 1. Okay, let's use this method. Range A1. So now with this method, we're able to copy this. We're able to copy this prep into it. So let's go to the next one. We need to copy the mole. I'll also use the same method. Now paste. Now I'll use the same method. What I'll do now is to, how will I start? Copy this. I needed to C1 down, C1, C1. This is C1. Now should be row to, this should be 0. Value, I'll just say more. No, you know the offset has 0, 1, from 0 to 1. So when you say 0, it means at that C, at column C. But if you say 1, it means it will also copy column 1 and column 0, which at that point, and at the point next to it, which is D. So we're saying 0 here. So let's run through it again and see what it gives us. Now let's go back to there. Say the mole has been added. Very correct. We just copied this. Okay, no. We needed to replace this. This should be more. This should be more, which is this new mole here. Should be more, because that one is the old information. Where is it again? Meaning I don't need this value here. I don't need it. So I need to remove them. I don't need it. So what I need is, okay, is this more percent? So which is what we play out now. So now let's run it again by pressing F5. Let me see what it gives. See, it's correct, but really like it positions it wrongly. Now that means I needed to start from 3, but that starts from B3. So let's see what plays out again. Let me see. That's no. Delete this. So it works out well now. So now I need to copy from here to here. I need to copy. There is a value I need to copy from here to here. I need to fix in there. So this is correct. There is, this is not correct. So here the offset is supposed to be -1 here. Let's see again. Let me see. Let me delete this. Let me delete. Let me just delete the entire thing. Let me now run it again. Now let's see. Correct. So it moves from here to here. Correct. Then this is not complete. Not complete both sides. Does it mean the prep I did? Okay. 24. Okay. The prep I am taking from the beginning. So this I'm supposed to add +1. Is it plus? Yeah, +1 because it's +1 because this is not supposed to be +2, it's +1. So let's work it again. Let's do that. Still the same thing. Let me see. Let me look at the local window. Let me see the prep. The prep has more than one thing to show. Let me see. The prep is completely filled up, so the prep is not the issue. Whereas the issue here is here. Supposed to say +1 here. Let me look at it again. Okay, it's correct now. It's correct. Shows up. But I need to copy this. Now I need to go to. That should be data. Okay, not here. It should be inputs. You need to copy these two values here. You need to copy those two values. You copy that. To copy that value. That is inputs. Okay, this is inputs. That means I will use the mole again. Use the mole I removed. Let me add the mole again. Call it mole. Let me see. Oh, it's not the mole. Let me look at it again. Reports. No. Does it mean that means the mole? I needed to copy. The mole. The mole should be equal to. Let me just put 1 here. Copy this whole thing. Copy, Ctrl C, Ctrl V, paste. Now range. I need to start from B1. I will use offsets here. Offsets. I will use offset 1, 1, 1, bracket close. Well, okay. Let me see what it gives. Where is it again? The mole is how many? 2. Empty. Mole empty. Is it? Two. Okay. It's supposed to be 0. Start from. It's supposed to be that column. That's supposed to have 2. Let me do it again. Correct now. So I need to now. I need to add. Another one. Just say copy. Paste. Now this should be C3, yes, but here should be 1. Here is 1. So the offset should be at that point. Okay, go to more. Let's look at it again. Let's go through that again. Let me see what it gives. Correct. So it's correct. So now very correct. Now I can now change this to 2 decimal. Let me see. This should be 2 decimal. Wow, I needed to place this on D, then the mouse will come here. Let me do that. So that means I need to change this to D. So that is it. Now I need to add the mass percent. So just copy this, paste it, change this to C. Now this should be mass percent. This should be mass percent. Now, having done that for mass percent, I needed to add this. Let me just copy this, copy, paste, close brackets, value equal to mass percent. Then this other one, let me control V, add again, sheet dot value, press the tab key, equal to quotation mark, just say weight percent. So now this should be C1, this should be C2. Now for this one, I can change it, I can round it up to 3 decimal place. Now I'll round this one up to 2 decimal place. Round this up to okay, this one doesn't need round up, sorry. This one needs round up, this one needs round up. This one doesn't need round up because this one's a string. So let's run this again. Let me just arrange this. Let me arrange it. Now I also need to add, let's run this now. Let's run it. What is the problem? Let me run it again. Let me run it and see that mismatch. Okay, let me remove the roundup. Remove the roundup. Okay, so we have mass percentage, mole percentage. So let me see. Oh, the mass percentage is not, it's a mass ratio. The mass percentage is in ratio. It's a mass ratio, not mass percentage. So I need to multiply by 100. 100. So let's check back. Let's work it out again. Correct now. Correct. Now let me let me arrange this into decimal place. Okay. This is 3. Okay. Let me center it. So it's neatly done now. Okay, no. This should be 3. Why this is 2? Decimal place. Now we have done this. We can now haven't done this, I will now haven't done this. So now what we're going to do next is I needed to add what again? I need to add the gas molecular weight and gas density. Let me just add that. Let me copy these two. Just copy, paste it here. Now I have it should be A1 rotate dot offset. Now I'll offset it to, we'll use row count, row count, comma 0. Now if I use row count, I need to add. Now we added 1. I'm going to add 2. Okay, let me add 4 so it will be far off. Should be far off. Now I will have here to be, I will change this to just molecular weight. Molecular weights of gas. Now I needed to copy this again. Let me remove this. This should be B1. B1. I will now copy this value and replace this with it. Now I needed to do the next one. Copy, paste. This should be, here should be 5. Here should be 5. Now I will change this to gas density. Now I will now copy this and replace this with it. Now let's go through it and see what happens. Pressing F5. Let me go back to inputs. Correct. Wow. Why? Divide by 100. There should be a constant value we needed to add to this. Let me just go back to, let me open this. So we needed to, this molecular volume of gas, we need to add it to that formula. Now let's, okay, no, let me just copy this way. Okay, no, okay, let me copy. Let me copy. Let me paste this like this. Now copy this. Now copy that. Now let's close this one. Copied this. I'm still here. Let's close the file. Now we've gotten this value. Now we needed a constant. Now we need to define a constant. We'll just say constant. More that is molecular, more volume of gas as double. equal to just Ctrl V paste. Now we use this value to divide this by that value and divide by 1000. So let's look at what we get here. 0. To divide by this, divide by 1000. So that is it. So this is it now. Now let's go back to this place. Oh, sorry, let me close this. Let me go back here. So in this input, I can now come here and just insert a shape. Inside this shape, I can just type in calculate. Now so need to center this. Now I needed to change, let me just increase the font size. Let me move this closer. Now let's see, okay, I want to change this to black. Now I can just right click, say assign macro. The macro name is Uche. Let's say okay. Now it's Uche. So and I needed to erase all this now let's Okay, there is a breakpoint here, that is why it's coming back. There's a breakpoint, so now see, gets it to the point where you get your answer, which is the report. This is it. Now let me go back to the input again. Let's say I change some values now. Let's say 3.56. Let's say this is 2.78. Now let's say here is 0.03. Now if I click this whole thing will change. You see, the thing has changed. The value changed, everything changed. So the molecular weight changes. So let me auto enter okay, let me take it up and okay. Let me bold in this. This should be this one should be 4. Highlight this. Me. Let me change the color here. Let me move this 8. Now I needed to calculate. I need to put the total mass percent here, the total gas percent here. Now let's go back to now when you check the offsets from here, you have 1, 2, 3. Because from here is 1, 2, 3, 4. So here is 1. This should be 2. So I needed to copy this. Copy. Now paste it here. I also need to copy again, paste. Now this should be 2. This 2. these two. Now this should be A1, this should be B, B. Okay, that should be A1. There should be C. This should be C. This should be D. Now we now have, this should be total. Okay, no. Total. Then this should be total mass, total. There's something like, there's no total percent here. So total mole, let's see, total mole, copy. Total mole should be D. Total mass, mass percent. So can calculate that here. So just say total mass percent. Total mass percent equal to worksheet function, sorry, dot sum equal to mass percent. Now this should be defined, here. Total mass percent is not defined. Let me replace this with total mass percent. Where is the total mass percent? I need to copy it, replace this with its total mass percent. Now let's go back to, let me save, we'll go back to our inputs. That is correct. Now let me just use format paint this. Now I needed to make this bold. Let me increase the font size a little. So this is it, perfectly done. Great, thank you for watching. Have a nice day. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell, and also do well to share the video. Thank you.